Welcome to the Sports Card Lessons Podcast. I'm your host, Big Ken. Whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on a streaming service, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. You'll be notified whenever I drop any new content. Welcome. Thanks for being here. How is everyone doing? Before we start, I just want to give a huge shout out to Jonathan, basketball card guy, who was on Thursday's episode. It was an awesome episode. If you missed it, any part of it, definitely go back and listen. A lot of nuggets there. He's just a guy with a lot of knowledge in the hobby and just a real, you know, they say a guy's guy. Well, he's a hobby guy. He's a guy's hobby guy, something. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but you know what I mean. He's just a great guy. Um, and it was great conversation. Happy divisional weekend, right? Football, 4 games this weekend, 2 down, 2 to go. And I didn't execute this day very well because I'm just sitting down to record, and the Lions Bucks game is still on, fourth quarter. So now I'm jumping in. It appears that game is now, we know who's going to win that game, but now I'm jumping in. I'm going to try to knock this one out before my Chiefs. I sit down and watch my Chiefs beat up on Buffalo. Yes, I said it. I'm calling it. Chiefs win. So let's jump into today's episode. 3 very different shows in 3 days. So this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I did 3 shows. I started off Friday. I drove down to the White Plains show. I got down there at 1:00. They had what was called a sneak peek. Was from 1 to 3. Obviously, it costs more to get in at that time. So I was paying for that extra 2 hours. I wanted every bit of it. So I was there right at 1:00, at the window, probably third or fourth person in line, waiting to get in. And I thought when I got there, there'd have been a longer line. I just assumed that, people are really getting into this. This is the first time I ever did, sometimes they call it, sneak preview, sneak peek, get in before everybody else. And I've always been at those shows. You notice that a lot of people don't show up for that. A lot of people don't come in early for that. They even do that at the National, right? They do that every day. They have an extra hour for the VIP people or the early birds to get in. So this was my first time doing it. So I got there right at 1:00. Paid to get in. Hit the ground running. Now White Plains, I've been to this show a number of times, and I've set up at this show more. Like I've walked this show 3 or 4 times, and I'm pretty sure I've set up probably 5 or 6 times at this show, whether it was at this new building or when they were holding it at the hotel as well. So this show is never been a disappointing show. I had something going. I could have set up. I had the opportunity to set up. I had something going on Saturday afternoon and evening. So I decided, you know what? I'm not going to set up for this show. I'm going to pass, but I'm going to get down there on Friday and walk the show. So the show was only 1 floor versus East Coast National. Was the last time we were in this building, or I was in this building, and it was 2 floors. It was upstairs and downstairs. I knew I had 2 hours before regular entry people were going to start coming in. So in my mind, thinking that it was 2 floors, because I was just assuming it was the 2 floors, I was putting an hour aside for each floor. I was going to do upstairs for an hour and downstairs for an hour, and then I would, get back and roll back through again. So when I was about 3/4 of the way through, I saw my guy Brad at Outlaws Sports Cards, a friend of the podcast, been on a number of times. He was set up, selling like crazy. He was busy for the most part because he's a guy that, and he's talked about this, he prices everything right. And, he had, people coming in and buying in bulk from him. But he informed me, hey, this is it. What you see up here, this is it, just the one floor. So knowing that, I slowed my roll a little bit, right? Okay, I'm going to slow down. Definitely time for a second and a third lap up here, because there really wasn't that many people at the show at that time, that were coming in for the sneak peek. Um, I want to shout out my man Michael, at Sports Cards The Hobby. It was the first time I met him. Went to his table. We started talking. Super nice guy. Uh, he offers me a T-shirt. He reaches in the bag. He says, "Would you like a T-shirt? What size are you?" I said, He throws me a T-shirt, and I said, "Wow, this is awesome." Uh, I said, "You know what?" I said, "I have a podcast, and in appreciation of you, this nice gesture, I am going to wear this shirt while I record the podcast." So, if you're on YouTube, I am wearing the T-shirt that Michael gave me. Michael, thanks for the T-shirt. Appreciate that. Uh, as for the room itself, you know, it, like I said, it never disappoints, but I'm at a sneak peek, right? There's not many people in there. I think there's um, more dealers walking around than attendees, and the room felt a bit deflated. And I'm not sure if it was because there wasn't that many people there. It was snowing out. I drove through the snow to get down there, and I'm not saying it was snow. We weren't getting like 6 to 10 inches or something like that. It had started at a light snow, and it had been just snowing all day. So even the highways, you had to take it a little bit slow on the highway. So maybe that was a little bit for that feel in the room. But after talking to a lot of dealers, they were just like, yeah, tomorrow's going to be the day. I mean, everybody was just banking on a big Saturday. And I know that show has a big day on Saturday because I've done the show. So the downfall to me trying to get there on a Saturday is I had very limited time, and it's hard to get, when you go, and I talk about this all the time, when I go to a busy show and you're standing behind people, and you're looking over shoulders, and you're trying to get in, and you're trying to, see what people have on their table. And it's even hard to make a deal with somebody, and I find, when you're doing that, if I come in and I pick out a card and I say, hey, what's the best you can do on this card? If I start negotiating, some guy next to me might just say, oh, you know what? And it's happened to me before. You know what? I'll take that card for that much money. Forget about him. I'll buy that card for that. So I've done all the work, and this guy got the deal, right? So there's a lot of downfall that I see for me, right? And this is not a lesson that I'm giving out to anybody, but for me and for what I do, um, I don't like fighting the crowds. So to go on a Saturday and be fighting the crowds at the tables is just not something that's fun for me. So I'm not going to do it. So having this sneak peek, this to me was, there's hardly anybody in here. Like this is my time. This is where I can go in. I can have conversations with people. I can get to know people. I can meet people. I can walk around. I can really take my time looking in cases or looking in boxes and things like that. So, this works for me. My first deal went really smooth. I bought an Anthony Richardson XRC Redemption, still sealed in the pouch from Panini. And again, if you're watching on YouTube, I'll just flash that up on the screen because this will be on its way to PSA. Really nice card. I got it home. Like I examined it the best I could there, not opening it, but then going through, looking through this card, and the edges and the corners look nice. The surface looks nice. So centering looks good. So I'm hoping that one's going to gem. On this card, I made a decent offer, as I usually do. The dealer counter just slightly up. Boom, deal was done. So first deal, I got the first deal under my belt. I'm excited. Let's go. Let's go do some buying. I will say that was the only deal I made there. Uh, things in there didn't go very well for me. You know, I, I found a lot of cards that I was really interested in buying, and made a lot of offers to dealers. And I made offers on cards that um we're gonna call ultra modern, right? Because this is kind of my lane. in football. So, and I understand that ultra modern is probably, what a good percentage of the people that are going to show up at this show this weekend are going to buy. So I understand that. And I kind of want to get that out of the way early, right? So a lot of the dealers I start asking, I'm like, hey, will you take this? Or what's the best you can do on that? Or what's the price? Because a lot of people don't even have prices on it. And I was hearing the same thing over and over. I'm high on that. I'm selling, probably at comps, maybe above, because I'm not sure. We're in the playoffs. We're this. His values are going up, and I kick back an offer on it. And they're like, wow, what's that? Like 85%? No, I can't. I'd have to be closer to 90, 95. It's too early. It's Friday. Right? It's Friday. It's too early. I mean, tomorrow is going to be the day. There's no sense for me selling this now. I could probably, you know, do better tomorrow, with the crowd. So now it was almost the opposite of my train of thought driving down there, where I'm like, okay, I'm going to be first. I'm going to be able to get in, see this. I'm paying extra to get in the door, and this is going to be good. I'm going to be able to make some deals. And, maybe I might have to pay a smidge above, what I'm hoping to. But if it's cards that I feel that, come May, June, July, that type of thing, in football, because it's really not buying for the here and now. What do we have left after this weekend? We have 3 games left, right? AFC, NFC championship game and the Super Bowl. I mean, then the season's done. So trying to pay high comps on football cards right now, it's probably not. y- you're probably buying playoff players right now. And, what happens when the team gets knocked out, right? At the show I was at today, there was a lot of people, saying half price Texans, they lost last night, like all making jokes about it. But, you know, eh, it's true the way people think. Like as soon as these next 3 games are done, they're going to put football is going to kind of hit the back burner, and then people are going to start realizing, well, I got a lot of these cards, and we're going to have to keep selling to stay in business, type of thing. So, I was hearing a lot of that, and I was starting to get a little disappointed. Like, oh, my first deal went so well. I thought kind of this whole day was going to do this, and now it's starting to become a struggle. I have my guy Frank, and I've talked about Frank on other episodes. I see him at a number of shows. When we get together, we always get a deal done. We're usually pretty fair with each other, both ways, and we'll get a deal done. He had, a couple cards that I was interested in, and he's got $1,000 each on both cards, right? And I'm looking up the comps. The comps on one was 850, about 850, an average 850, and the one on the other one was about 925. Um, so I'm like, okay, I'm going to come in, make an 80% offer and see where he goes. And he immediately jumped to 99%. He's like, yeah, no, these cards are gonna sell. Like I have to be at my price, and you know what? It's a little early, and people are so interested in those cards. I may put a higher price tag on it before tomorrow. And it got to the point where I realized that he wasn't even going to sell me the cards at the sticker price, that he was kind of leaning in to say, like, these cards are probably worth more. I had them priced at last week's show, and there's Mahomes is hot. If he wins tomorrow, and I'm like, whatever. I was a little disappointed. I really was, and it's not that I expected to go in and get a card at 80%, because I know I'm gonna hear backlash on this. Like, how could you expect to get? And I don't. But here's a guy that I go and I make deals with all the time, and this was the first time, right, that he was like, yeah, and he said it to me. Look, we always get a deal done, but today, is there any other card you like in my case that isn't Mahomes? Like, I got these Jalen Hurts cards. Are you interested in the? And it's like, no, 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 I'm not. I'm not. I understand it. I understand it, but I talk all the time on here about, if you're going to go and set up a show, you have to respect the comps. Somehow you have to respect these comps, and you can't you can absolutely say, um, um, I want to get $1,000. If you want to get $1,000 for the card, I wouldn't recommend having $1,000 sticker on the card, right? Have a $1,200 sticker on the card. Have a $1,100 sticker on the card, right? And if you have $1,000 sticker on the card, don't start telling me that you should have probably asked me for more money, that it should be over what you had it stickered at. So is it a guy just not being prepared for the show? Possibly. Possibly that it what I think and kind of what he said to me is, "I'm expecting a big day tomorrow, and this is the stuff people are looking for, and I'd rather have this in my case tomorrow than sell it to you today for 85%, 90%, and 95%." So, I understood that. I understood that. I moved on from there. Um, and it just wasn't him. There were other dealers, and this is where I started to kind of put 2 and 2 together, um, because I talked to people who went on Saturday, and I kinda told them my experience of Friday, and they said to me, "Rookie mistake. Why would you go? Nobody's gonna let that stuff sell that stuff like that, because everybody's waiting for the repackers to show up and come through and see exactly what they can get, because after they come through and take what they want, now people are making deals, right? Now it's, "Okay, if they don't want them, now I need to work on selling them." And I know we've talked about, or I've talked about it on here, and I've listened to people talk about it on there, and it's really it's such an interesting um thing that we have going on now, because I was at a show today and I talked to somebody about going to Atlanta next week. And he said, "No, I'm going to Atlanta." He goes, "I'm probably not bringing anything." He said, "I'm just going to go down there. I'm going to buy on Friday and then just sell all to the repackers on Saturday." Like, I know who most of them are. And that's kind of what I do. Like, I go in there acting like a repacker, but then I sell to the repack. And I'm sitting back and I'm listening. I'm like, this is really becoming, like a huge thing. Like, I heard a lot of people talking about this, and I know they come around at the big shows, and I mean, I've seen them at the shows. I probably sold cards to them at the shows, but I think the bigger the shows, the more this is happening versus the smaller shows, not so much, right? So yeah, it's interesting for someone like me who. And I think for what I do, so many people, same thing. Go to these shows. Go to I'm gonna go buying. I'm gonna go to a show. I'm gonna go buying. I'm and it's almost as if you almost can't do that anymore. Like you have to stand in line almost to buy now. Like I felt a little bit like you have to stand in line a little bit to buy. And that was kind of the feeling I got at this show. So I was done. I put about 3.5 hours in. I circled the room a number of times. I talked to a bunch of people. And then that was it. I moved on. I moved on. I left. I headed home, light snow, with my Anthony Richardson XRC, my new friend Michael, and the shirt he gave me. So that was my Friday. Um, and and I'm curious to know what you guys think of a sneak peek and getting in early on a Friday and paying up to get in early on a Friday. Is that something you've done? Is that something you would do? Or is that something you think absolutely not worth it? I'll just go later, or I'll go on Saturday or Sunday or so. I'm just curious what you guys think about that. Um, if it's a rookie mistake or not. I like it. Like, it worked for me because there was no crowds, and I talked about that. Um, but I guess being able to go in and have all these conversations, um, could kinda hurt too, right? Getting in early if people just are saying, "Look, I can't let this go at this price because tomorrow I could get more for it." And I understand if I was expecting that on cards too, I would do the same thing. If I waited a day, I could get more money for the same card that somebody's offering me on Friday, why would I even show up on Friday, right? Why wouldn't I just get there Saturday morning and set up and not and just not set up Friday? But that's my thought. Let me know. So Saturday, I was up early and off to a local show, Plainville, Connecticut. I talk about this show all the time. This show is one of those shows that's always busy. Whether you go early, the middle of the morning, late morning, early afternoon, it's always busy in there. There's a lot of traffic in there. And I spend time at this show digging through singles boxes because here's a show. There's a lot of local people, a lot of people I know, a lot of people I know that rip a lot of wax, and they're sleeving up these cards and they're just popping them in, top loading them, and just popping them in boxes, and they're just being general about it. I have my $1, the $2, the $3, the $5. So there's just whatever seems to be the price and drop it in, and they're happy to sell them. And I show up and I dig through these boxes and I pull out, and maybe I pull 4 or 5 $10 cards out of there. They're happy to make a deal. I don't even have to negotiate with them. They'll go through and say, hey, give me $25 or give me 30 bucks, whatever. I enjoy that. I think that's a great way, and I do that the same way myself, as a dealer. When I have all these singles boxes and I have people come up, and especially people I've seen at other shows, and they come up and they dig through the box and they pull out, 30 or $40. I'll take $10 right off they have to ask me. They'll hand me the cards and I'll say, hey, you know what? You got 44 here. Give me 30 for it. And they're happy. I'm happy. And, you know, they'll be back. They'll be back digging through my boxes again. And that's kind of the way I feel with these people. When I show up at a show like this and I'm digging through, I'm always getting decent value in these boxes. I made a deal with my guy, Bill and Billy, father and son. I bought a bunch of rookie singles from them that I'll send off to PSA. I picked up a Justin Fields rookie the Blue Scope PSA 10. And you know what? I remember having this card last year at National, and like the card's selling for like $160, and now the card's like $50. It's like how could you not on a PSA 10? I don't know what's going on with him next year, but I just have to feel that the value of that card would improve because of a lot of the people that came in 2021. I still think he has a future in the NFL. I think he could be a starting quarterback for an NFL team. So I was happy to grab that. And the other singles I pick up, I just run through them quick. These Prism breaks, CJ Stroud, Anthony Richardson, Bryce Young, I just hold those up there. These are great cards, and if they look good enough, I'll send them the grading. Bryce Young, Prism rookie, silver Prism, Blue Scope, Justin Fields. I picked up a Breece Hall. And as you know, like I do a lot of New York, New Jersey shows, and whenever I get a chance to pick up any Jets or Giants, or a lot of people just will collect those in that area, being in that area, and they'll come looking. So, if you had these Breece Hall cards in Georgia or California or somewhere else, people probably really don't care about them. But in this area, they do. So like a Garrett Wilson, a Breece Hall, like cards like that. If I find nice cards and the price is right, I'll pick them up because I know I'll be able to move them. I picked up this rookie Prism. It's rookie Prism auto, numbered to 49. So this was a card that was a redemption that came and it was still sealed. That one was also still sealed, and the dealer told me, look, I just got this back last week. So the price was right, and I jumped on that. And it looks like it's gradable, so I'm happy about that too. So my guy Alex at Ideal Cards over there, him and Cliff run these shows, this show and the Enfield show. And I talked about they had that Friday night show back at Christmas time, and it was a show that I really enjoyed doing. and they announced that they just secured they're going to do another Friday night show over there. So I'm pretty excited. I'm looking forward to that. I spent a few hours over there, made some deals. It was a great way to spend a Saturday morning. Told you I had something going on the afternoon, evening, so I got there early, did my damage, and I was gone. Um, I knew there was a new show starting up in New Britain, another local show that used to run. This show used to run and stopped over a year ago. They stopped running this show, and I knew somebody else had planned on starting that show up, and today was gonna be the first day of the new show. Um, so I saw, my guy Sly at Smith Street Cards. He's the one who was running the new show over there. Uh, and on Friday, he posted, he had a couple tables available. So I reached out to him and I reserved the table. So I showed up this morning over there with all my stuff to set up at this show. So it's another local show. Wasn't sure what to expect because it was, again, I said it was the first time. And I'll say that there was probably a reason that the show stopped over there, right? I'm not sure exactly why the show stopped, but I'm sure there was a reason it stopped. Um, so he was starting the show up again. So who knew what to expect? So I got there early, set up, and I went shopping. Uh, I got set up. Well, we set up. I got set up next to my guy Sean. Now I know Sean at Sabres Hockey 22. He does hockey, and I've seen him at all the local shows. So we become friends, and we ended up being set up next to each other. So we were neighbors at this show. So it was nice having a good neighbor and somebody I knew over there. So I left him in charge of the table. I said, "Watch the stuff. I'm going to go do a little shopping." So I went out and I made some deals. So uh, my guy Rich at Zwiddlebug Cards. I don't know. I didn't ask where Zwiddlebug came from, but he had a couple cards, these orange lasers, CJ Stroud, Anthony Richardson. I'll flash these up on the screen. Very nice cards. Nice shape. Cards look nice. I paid fairly strong for the pair of cards. Um, and it was funny because we're trying to make a deal. I'm trying to make a deal with them, and he's starting to talk like I heard on Fridays, like, well, the doors aren't open yet, and you know, I eh, I think these are going to fetch top dollar once the doors open. Trying to drive the price up on me a little bit. He says, and you're going to take them, you're going to put them in your case, and you're going to. And I said, no. I said they're not going to. I promise you, they are not going to my case. I'm taking these, and I'll either grade them or put them away and take them out at a later date. Promise, there's no grading. He made the deal with me. I tell you, I paid fairly strong. Um, and the Stroud card looks really good for grading, so I think that may go to grading. I have to recheck these cards here in the office before I send them out. But this is what I'm buying, right? Trying to buy these rookie QBs now, and I started buying them a month ago, and it seems like they've 2x, 3x, 4x. Um, Stroud has really, I mean, we know the prices have really jumped up. And now those Stroud cards are almost at a point where it's that bubble's going to burst, that the prices are going to come down on them. So I'm happy with what I had. I ended up making the deal on this because the pricing on this I felt was right. It was better than most recent comps. And if I had to pay any more, it probably would have been a bigger risk that I was taking. So as far as picking up any of like these silver prisms now of these rookie quarterbacks, I'm kind of stopping right now because I see where all these prices are going. There was another dealer there that he had an Anthony Richardson Donruss optic preview. It was a die cut. and it was numbered to 49. So as I'm walking around, I could see him pulling out a bunch of Anthony Richardson, and I saw the die cut, and I kind of leaned back, and I'm like, I just saw a Richardson there. I said, how much do you have on that? And immediately he said to me, I'm way over comps. I'm probably not selling. I'm probably not selling this card. I'm asking way over comps for it, but when I'm done setting up, I'll look it up. I said, well, I'm set up over there. Let me know. All right. So about halfway through the show, I went back and I said, hey, did you come up with a price yet on that card? And he said, well, the last comp was 75 and I'm 125 firm on it. I'm not in a hurry to sell it. I understand that. I mean, who knows? Who knows what the right price is to sell on any of these? Especially the Anthony Richardson, who hasn't been around, and people are starting to wake up now. Thinking about, well, the CJ Stroud, the prices are going through the roof. Like, who else can we prospect on? I talked about this a number of episodes. A number of episodes ago. I talked about, jumping in on him and Stroud. And I probably have enough cards now. I probably have 40 or so combined cards of those two that it's probably good enough for what I'm getting. Now it's, see what's next, right? Or where the prices go, because I have a feeling on those cards, especially the Stroud, I have a feeling they're going to come down, and what everybody's going to do, just like myself, is send them all the PSA and then hurry them back to see what they can get. And I think by the time those cards do come back, the prices are probably going to be down. I do believe wholeheartedly, come May, June, July, that he is going to be all the rage. I can just hear and see it now at the National. Everybody's going to be looking for Stroud cards, and I understand it. I mean, I watched it happen with Mac Jones, Zach Wilson. I mean, a number of them. You saw it. You do this long enough, and you can see like the buildup's coming. So I'm happy with what I have now. And I can see people are onto it now, saying, look, I these rookie quarterbacks, I'm either selling high or I'm not selling at all, because I'm really waiting to see what happens. And I understand that. And again, we see this happen every year. I seriously gave away more than I sold at the show. And I'll explain that. I made a deal with a kid for some cards. We agreed on the price. I pulled the money out, put the money out on the table, and he left. And then I went back and I was doing another deal for a card, and I pulled the money out and counted through the money, and I realized I was $100 missing. And I said, I must have gave that kid an extra $100. And I know that those bills had been sticking together, and I thought I was good at pulling them apart. So I saw the kid in the room, and I was waiting for him to come back, and he kept looking over at me, and I'm like, he probably knows that he got too much. So I was waiting for him just to come back around, and I was just going to say, hey, I think I may have paid you too much, but he ended up just leaving. So I never really got to talk to him. And if I did it, you know what? Clearly my fault. And even when I realized it at the point, I said, yeah, this is clearly my fault. And that's going to help me be a little bit more careful too as a dealer, because I just had a lot going on at the table. It's somebody paying me for cards out of my singles, and I was doing a deal with him, and there's some other things going on. So sometimes these things happen. As far as sales for the day for me, I sold no slabs. I sold everything out of my singles boxes. And this is the kind of show I know, because I've set up at these local shows before, and people really like digging through these boxes. So I know if anywhere, like I had a box that I haven't even taken to a show in a while, that I took to this show, and I probably sold $50, $60 worth of cards out of this. And it's just a lot of older, baseball and basketball. Um, and it's just stuff that people like. They come in, they're building sets, and they go through, and they have a list, and they're pulling through the boxes. And this is like, I know this is a show I could bring that box to. Know the show. I wouldn't take this box to a big show because it would probably just sit there and take up valuable space on my table. Um, the other cards I picked up this weekend, and I'll just quickly go through them. I picked up another Anthony Richardson, red, white, and blue. Really nice condition. A 2021 Contenders Optic, Micah Parsons, rookie ticket auto, PSA 9. 2020 Panini Phoenix, Justin Herbert yellow, PSA 10. This is numbered to 75. And here's a guy I think, I mean, I can't even believe, you can't even believe what I paid on this card. And I'm sure at one point, I mean, I haven't looked it up yet. This card had to have been selling for a lot of money and just having a bad season with this guy. So these are the kind of cards that I really like picking up at a discount and just putting in the box and waiting till next year and, hoping that, the Chargers getting a new coach could turn it around and do well. This card, the only place this card could go is up. This card I picked up. It's a 2018 Panini Phoenix Lamar Jackson green. This is a PSA 10. Now, this card has over doubled in value in the last month, and this one is numbered to 25. Where's this one? I know this one. This one is numbered to 25, 17 and 25, right? So I know this card is doubled. And the kid selling it, I said, "Hey, what do you want for the card?" He gave me a price. We worked out a deal, but normally I would not have bought a Lamar Jackson, but the price was right that I think I could take this to Atlanta next weekend and make an easy sale because they're not even playing. They've already played this weekend. They won't play again until Sunday next week. So it give me the opportunity to sell it. So it's not a win or lose thing. We're going in on a win, sell it on a win. And it's a card I know I'll easily be able to sell. So 3 shows in 3 days. Trust me, my body feels it. I'm pretty tired after 3 shows in 3 days. Friday is a major show. I mean, it's a big show for around here. White Plains. Even though I got a great deal on the Richardson XRC, not a typical feel to a show that I had big expectations for. And we talk about lessons, and it's part of this podcast and always learning, know the show. I was coming because I know the show. I was coming in cash heavy to the show. I was coming in, looking to buy, hoping I could make a lot, purchase a good amount of cards that I could take with me next weekend. And if not next weekend, to the next few shows I have going on. Unfortunately, I left the same way. I left cash heavy. And I understand. I understand that it was probably the timing on my end that was bad coming in on a Friday. And I think I'm probably going to hear a lot in the comments of people saying, "Oh, why would you go early on a Friday?" So we'll see. We'll see what people say. I'm sure those dealers made their money on Saturday, right? Because Saturday is always the biggest day there. Saturday, local show, crowded, dealers looking to make deals. Um, it, it's an easy it's an it's an easy show. These local shows are easy shows to go to, right? One, just what it sounds, local, right? 10, 15, 20, 30, 35, 40 minutes. Like that's fortunately for me, these 2 shows are 15 minutes from my house. The Saturday show, the Sunday show, both 15 minutes from my house. So a local show, it's crowded, digging through boxes, buying up some cards. Just a great day to spend a Saturday morning, right? Um, Also, and this is going to go for both local shows. They're one-day shows, right? The Saturday, Sunday shows, one-day shows. No one's holding out for tomorrow. No one's saying, "Wow, tomorrow's gonna be better, so I don't wanna sell," or, if you show up in the morning at 9 AM and you wanna make a deal, the dealer's gonna make a deal with you. He's not thinking to himself, I better hold this because somebody may come later and wanna pay more for it." The local shows, it's just a different feel to the local shows. Sunday, another local show, um, probably would not have been able to end up with any cards if I didn't set up. Um, if I went and walked that show as originally planned, I think I would have left empty-handed. I think it was the ability, um, to be set up, to hit a couple dealers early, and then just buy from people who are coming in and walking around the show. I'm not the first person, people are coming to, at the show, which I don't think, but I think what happens is people look in my case and they say, "Wow, what I have here is kinda what you have in your case," and they feel I'd be more apt to be buying the cards they're having. They're trying to sell. So it worked out. I mean, it works out. Again, I probably would have left empty-handed if I didn't set up. So even though my sales were very low, the day was a win for me because I came home with, some product that I can bring with me, to the next few shows that I'm doing. All right, that's all I have for you. I am going to get ready for Chiefs-Bills game. Go Chiefs. And I will be back Thursday with a brand new episode. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. If you like what you hear, please definitely subscribe, and most importantly, tell a friend and spread the word. And until next time, take care of yourselves and everyone around you.